There are moments when it feels like nothing goes your way. You make plans, you put in effort, and still things fall apart, one after another. A small setback turns into another delay, another disappointment, another reason to feel tired. What makes it even harder is how personal it feels. As if life is pushing back specifically against you, as if you did something wrong, as if you are being tested, punished, or singled out. This quiet exhaustion builds over time, not from one big failure, but from many small frustrations piling up, slowly draining your energy and hope. But Buddhism offers a very different way of seeing these moments. When nothing goes your way, it is not a personal failure. It is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is part of how life naturally moves, shifting, changing, and unfolding in ways we cannot control. And seeing this clearly is where relief begins. When things go wrong, we often take it personally, not because we are weak, but because of a quiet story we carry inside. The story says, if I work hard, if I behave well, if I make the right choices, then life should cooperate. Effort should lead to results. Planning should bring stability. Doing things right should protect us from setbacks. So when reality doesn't follow this script, frustration appears. We feel disappointed, confused, even betrayed. It feels as if life has broken a promise, even though no such promise was ever made. From a Buddhist perspective, suffering does not arise from events themselves. It arises from expectations attached to those events. We suffer not because something went wrong, but because reality failed to match how we believed it should unfold. This attachment to how things should be creates inner resistance. The mind argues with the moment. It asks, why is this happening? Why now? Why to me? But life is not punishing us, and it is not betraying us. Life simply moves according to causes and conditions, not personal agreements. When we see this clearly, blame softens, the heart relaxes, and suffering begins to loosen its grip, not because life changes, but because our relationship to it does. One of the hardest moments in life is when things stop going our way and the mind quietly whispers, this is how it's going to be now. The difficulty feels permanent. The frustration feels endless. But Buddhism gently reminds us of something the mind often forgets during hardship. Nothing stays the same. Periods of success do not last forever. Periods of difficulty don't either. Life moves in cycles. Conditions shift. What rises will eventually fall, and what falls will eventually rise again. Yet when we are inside a difficult phase, the mind loses this wider view. It narrows. It assumes that the present moment defines the future. This forgetting is a major source of suffering. From a Buddhist perspective, stability is not found in favorable conditions. Favorable conditions are temporary by nature. When we try to build our sense of safety on them, anxiety follows, because deep down, we know they can change at any moment. Impermanence is not meant to frighten us, it is meant to free us. When we understand that both fortune and misfortune are passing conditions, we stop identifying with them so completely. We stop saying, this is my life now. What feels permanent is often just temporary conditions passing through. And when we remember this, the weight of the moment begins to lighten. In Buddhist teaching, there is a simple framework that helps explain why life can feel so unstable at times. It is known as the 8 worldly winds. These winds describe the natural movements of life, conditions that come and go, regardless of who we are or how well we try to live. Life moves between gain and loss. Sometimes we gain opportunities, relationships, or stability. Other times we lose them through change, separation, or circumstances beyond our control. It also moves between praise and blame. At times we are appreciated, supported, or admired. At other times we are misunderstood, criticized, or ignored. There is success and failure, moments when things work out, and moments when effort does not bring the result we hoped for, and there is pleasure and pain, comfort and discomfort, ease and difficulty. These experiences are woven into the fabric of being alive. Buddhism teaches that these winds blow for everyone. They are not rewards or punishments. They are not signs that you are doing something wrong or right. They are simply part of how conditions move. The problem is not the winds themselves. The problem is clinging. We want the pleasant winds to stay forever. We resist the unpleasant winds when they arrive. This attachment makes the mind unstable. When life brings gain, we feel uplifted. When loss arrives, we collapse. Our peace rises and falls with circumstances. When nothing goes your way, it may not mean that life is against you. It may simply be a different wind blowing. And learning to stand steady in these changing winds is where true resilience begins. Pain is an unavoidable part of life. Things go wrong, people disappoint us, plans fall apart. Loss arrives without warning. The Buddha never taught that we could escape pain. What he taught was how suffering is created on top of pain. When something difficult happens, there is the initial experience, the pain itself. But then the mind reacts, it tightens, it argues, it says, "This shouldn't be happening." That reaction adds a second layer of suffering. This is known in Buddhism as the second arrow. The first arrow is the pain of life. The second arrow is the suffering we create through resistance. Fighting pain does not remove it. It amplifies it. The more we resist what is already here, the heavier the experience becomes. Imagine standing in a strong wind. If you tense your body and push against it, you exhaust yourself. The wind feels harsher, more violent. But when you soften and lean with it, the same wind feels less overwhelming. Life's difficulties are similar. Resistance turns difficulty into suffering. Acceptance does not remove pain, but it removes the inner struggle that makes pain unbearable. When resistance softens, the second arrow is no longer fired, and even in hardship, the heart finds space to breathe. Buddhism does not promise a life without difficulty. It does not offer a method to control outcomes or protect us from change. What it offers instead is something far more reliable: steadiness. Rather than trying to shape life into something predictable, Buddhism teaches us how to remain balanced as conditions shift. This quality is known as equanimity, the ability to meet both pleasant and unpleasant experiences with the same awareness. When things go well, equanimity keeps us from becoming attached. When things go badly, it keeps us from collapsing. This does not mean indifference. It means clarity. You still feel joy and disappointment. You still care. But your inner state is no longer entirely dependent on what happens next. Success does not inflate the ego. Failure does not destroy your sense of worth. Instead of fighting life, Buddhism invites us to observe it, to understand that change is not a mistake, and difficulty is not a personal failure. Both are natural movements of conditions. Peace, from this perspective, does not come from winning against life, from forcing things to go our way. It comes from not being shaken by what arises. When the mind stops battling circumstances, energy returns, attention sharpens, and even when life feels uncertain, there is a quiet stability beneath the surface, one that does not depend on things going well. When nothing goes your way, the mind often reacts automatically. It complains, resists, or searches for someone or something to blame. This is natural. The practice is not to suppress this reaction, but to become aware of it. The first step is simply to notice the urge to resist. Notice the tightening in the body, the rush of thoughts, the feeling that says, this shouldn't be happening. You don't need to stop it. Just recognize it. Next, name the situation honestly, without drama or judgment. Acknowledge what is happening. Something didn't work out. A plan changed. An expectation was broken. Naming it clearly helps the mind stop exaggerating. Then gently remind yourself, this is a passing condition. Not as a way to dismiss the moment, but to place it in a wider context. Like weather, conditions move through. They arise and they pass. Finally, return your attention to the present moment. Feel your breath. Notice where you are. Ask yourself what one small, grounded action is possible right now. You don't need to like the moment to stop fighting it. Each time you practice this, even briefly, the grip of frustration loosens, and in that loosening, steadiness begins to grow. When nothing goes your way, strength is often misunderstood. We imagine strength as pushing harder, controlling more, or refusing to be affected. But Buddhism points to a quieter kind of strength. True strength is steadiness. It is the ability to remain present when conditions shift, to feel disappointment without collapsing, to experience success without clinging. This steadiness reduces the emotional whiplash that comes from being carried by every rise and fall of circumstance. When the mind is no longer chasing favorable conditions or resisting unfavorable ones, something changes. Life still moves, but you are less shaken by it. The inner balance remains, even as the winds shift. This is what resilience looks like in Buddhist wisdom. Not toughness, not indifference, but balance. A person with quiet strength is not unaffected by life. They still feel pain and joy, but their sense of stability does not depend on outcomes. They meet gain and loss, praise and blame, success and failure with the same awareness. When you stop being thrown around by changing winds, energy returns. The heart becomes steadier, and even when life feels uncertain, there is a deep sense of grounding, one that does not rely on things going your way. Hard periods in life are not mistakes. They are not signs that you have failed or lost your way. They are part of life's movement, just as change and uncertainty have always been. When nothing goes your way, it does not mean you are doing something wrong. It may simply mean you are moving through a different phase, shaped by conditions beyond your control. Take a moment to reflect on where you are right now, not to judge it, but to meet it with awareness. And if these reflections resonate with you, subscribe for more Buddhist perspectives on steadiness, impermanence, and inner balance. There is more to explore along this path. When nothing goes your way, it may not be a sign to give up, but a moment to steady yourself.